Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between green hills and crystal-clear rivers, there lived a young woman named Ananya. She was a kind soul, always trying to help others, and yet deep within, she felt empty. Her life, despite having all the comforts, felt incomplete. She spent her days going through the motions: work, sleep, eat, and often found herself wondering why others seemed so happy while she felt sad and alone. Ananya lived in a small house on the edge of the village, with a beautiful garden she had worked on for years. Yet she never truly enjoyed the blooms of her garden. No matter how much the flowers flourished, something inside her remained barren. She believed that everyone else in the village had everything figured out, that they were living their best lives while she struggled with an unshakable sadness. One evening, as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the village, Ananya sat by the riverbank, lost in her thoughts. A deep sense of longing filled her heart. She sighed heavily, feeling more alone than ever. "Why am I always unhappy?" she whispered to the wind. "Everyone else seems content with their lives, and here I am, stuck in my own sorrow." Just as the last rays of sunlight began to fade, an elderly man appeared before her. His hair was white as snow, and his eyes sparkled with wisdom. He looked at Ananya with a gentle smile and asked, "Why do you sit here so sorrowful, my child?" Ananya looked up, startled. She had not seen him approach. "I don't know what's wrong with me," she replied. "I feel empty no matter what I do. Everyone else in the village is happy, and I can't seem to find any joy in my life." The old man nodded thoughtfully, then sat beside her. "I see," he said softly, "but let me tell you a story. Long ago, there was a great mountain named Mount Arjuna. It stood tall and proud, its peak hidden in the clouds where no one could reach. Many travelers came from far and wide to see this majestic mountain, but not one person had ever climbed to the top. For years, the mountain had stood in solitude, always staring at the world below. One day, a wanderer named Yash came upon Mount Arjuna. He had heard tales of its beauty and had seen many others admire it from a distance. But he wondered why no one had ever reached the top. Yash decided to climb it and discover its secrets. The climb was steep and difficult. The higher Yash went, the more treacherous the path became. But with each step, he grew more determined. After several days of climbing, he reached the peak. As he stood on the summit, looking out over the world below, Yash was struck by the sight. The entire valley stretched out beneath him, the rivers winding like silver threads through the lush green forests. The view was beyond anything he had ever imagined. But then, something strange happened. Instead of feeling elated, Yash felt a deep sorrow. He looked at the valley below, and for the first time, he saw it clearly. He noticed the people, working hard in their fields, laughing and talking with each other. He realized that they were not climbing the mountain. They were not seeking the distant heights. Instead, they were content with their lives, finding joy in the simplicity of their everyday struggles. Yash thought about the mountain. It had stood tall for centuries, but it had never known the joy of life on the ground. The laughter, the companionship, the beauty of simplicity. The mountain had reached the peak, but it had missed the deeper joys that only those who live humbly on the earth could know. The old man paused, letting his story sink in. Ananya looked at him, her brow furrowed in thought. "Do you understand, my child?" he asked gently. Ananya nodded slowly, but her heart was still heavy. "But I still feel lost. I see people around me living their lives, and it feels like I am invisible. I am not happy with who I am, and I can't seem to find peace." The old man smiled, his eyes filled with understanding. "Ah, my dear, happiness is not something to be found in others, nor in distant dreams. It lies in the here and now, in the acceptance of your own life. You see, every person you look at, no matter how perfect they may seem, carries their own burdens. They too have their battles. Everyone is climbing their own mountains, just like you." Ananya looked down at the river, reflecting on the old man's words. The water, though calm, was constantly moving, never the same for long. "But how do I find peace with myself?" she asked. The old man rose to his feet and said, "Let me show you something." He took her by the hand and led her to a tree at the edge of the river. It was an old, gnarled tree, its bark rough and twisted. Yet it had the most beautiful flowers growing on its branches. "Look at this tree," the old man said. "It has endured many storms, many years, and yet it still bears flowers. It does not compare itself to other trees. It simply grows as it is meant to grow. It is content in its own skin." Ananya touched the rough bark and then the delicate flowers. For the first time in a long while, she felt a spark of peace within her. "I think I understand now," she whispered. The old man nodded. "True happiness comes when we stop comparing ourselves to others. Life is not about reaching a perfect state. It is about accepting who we are and finding joy in the moments that we have. Everyone has their own unique path, and that is enough. When you stop searching for happiness outside and start living in the present, you will find it." From that day forward, Ananya began to see her life differently. She stopped measuring her happiness against others. She found joy in the little things: the warm sunlight on her face, the laughter of children in the village, the peaceful quiet of the evenings. Slowly, she began to appreciate the life she had, just as it was. And whenever she felt sad, she would remember the story of the mountain and the tree. She knew now that true happiness did not lie in distant places or in comparisons, but in living fully, embracing each moment, and being content with who she was. In life, many of us struggle with the feeling that others are happier or more successful than we are. We look at others and think, if only I had their life, their success, or their happiness. But the truth is that everyone has their own challenges, their own mountains to climb, and their own battles to fight. Like the raven who learned that the swan, the parrot, and the peacock each had their own struggles, we too must understand that we do not know the full story of someone else's life. When we stop comparing ourselves to others and start accepting and appreciating what we have, we find that peace and happiness come naturally. True happiness lies not in the pursuit of perfection, but in the acceptance of ourselves as we are. It is about cherishing the life we have, embracing our unique journey, and finding joy in the present moment. Only then can we experience the freedom and contentment that we seek. So whenever you feel sad in life, remember that happiness is not found in what you don't have, but in appreciating what you do. And know that, just like the raven who found contentment in his own wings, you too can find happiness by embracing your own life with love and gratitude. This story encapsulates the powerful message of embracing one's own life and not succumbing to the trap of comparison. It serves as a reminder that true happiness comes from within. Let me know if you'd like me to refine or extend any part.